So at this very time, I would like Charity, maybe you can introduce yourself.
You've already introduced me.
And say hi to them. Then
my name is Charity Naji, and I'm a Digital Communications Officer for Gender Talk 211. But today I'll be your co-host. I'll be Jackie's co-host. Yeah, so welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, my voice is hoarse. I'm very sick. I'm Sarah Diabiel. I'm a GBV and Protection Coordinator over at Nile Hope.
Sarah. She's called Sarah.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. She actually just left the hospital and came straight to the studio. Speak of dedication.
Yeah, so Sarah, we are blessed to have you today and to host this conversation because like many of us who have been faced with a lot of issues around gender-based violence are eager to get some information. So would you please tell us about like what is it?
So before Sarah speaks, they recently hosted. They recently launched a safe house, and the reason she's here is to tell us more about the safe house and how we can access it for those who need it. So yeah.
So on Monday, we launched the Juba Safe House. Actually, we have 3 safe houses in South Sudan.
Okay.
Oh, really?
One in Wow, that was established in 2020. Nile Hope, that's our organization, is managing it. And we have one in Turit, but it's not as functional because it needs funding and partnership from the donor community. So it's not active as the one in Wow. And then Juba was recently launched on Monday. So what's a safe house? A safe house is literally a house that is fully furnished, beddings, food that provides temporary accommodation to victims and survivors of gender-based violence whose lives are under threat from the perpetrators, community members, or even their associates. That's it in a nutshell. Yep.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sarah. So we also like to know like how safe is the safe house, because sometimes when we emerge from situations of, you mentioned victims, sometimes victims emerge from situations that are very heartbreaking and they really want to be, they mean safety in your sense. So how safe is the safe house for them?
So one of the criteria in establishing a safe house, you have to look at the principle of confidentiality. The location where it is, the people who are working within the safe house, only them, they know that, and the survivors. So for instance, in our case in Wow in Juba, we already have the house fully furnished going on. We work within a referral system. We first and foremost, we have our own security. We are a security firm. Only ladies are there. We have CCTVs for Juba to monitor everything that's happening. The ladies are there 24/7. Apart from that, we work with the police station. So like when this residential area, this is what is happening, because within the police stations, there's something called special protection units. These are the guys that deal with gender-based violence or early child forced marriages cases. They go to their dock. So we tell someone from there, we're in your area, we need security just in case, So one of the matrons, because we have 3 matrons, so 2 sleep overnight, 1 is always daytime, basically. So yeah, you have the number for someone from the police station to ensure it's secure, and also my number as well. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, do you want to ask something?
No. I just wanted to ask, what services do you offer, and who is eligible? Like you mentioned now GBV, and you mentioned a forced marriage. Who is eligible for the safe houses? Like who is allowed? Like who can anyone just walk in, or do you look at cases and decide this person is allowed, or do you look at some cases and think, oh, this person like is like should I say your problems are not big enough, so you're not allowed? How do you choose?
It's really hard because we've had experiences from where someone just wants to come and enjoy life because you're being offered everything. But now for Juba, what we're trying to do something different. We want to work as a group. So we'll work with the special protection units who will refer survivors to us. We work with the Ministry of Gender, that's the state ministry, and national ministry, because we have what's it called, the social workers, and they really understand what's going on. And then we also work with the one-stop center in Juba Teaching Hospital, because they have loads of cases coming to them every day. So how do you choose someone? We literally have to hear their case and see for ourselves exactly before we determine who to take in. If your case is really severe, whereby your life is under threat, that's the first thing we look at. Then we'll give you the accommodation. So the services offered in the safe house is just not accommodation. We're looking at legal aid, medical aid, counseling, which is really paramount. We also have literacy, because some people have never been to school, so at least we teach them basic literacy skills, and also life skills, because at the end of the day, we want to empower our victims. Unfortunately, for the safe house, that's something that even the national ministry is trying to look at. We only accommodate girls and women, as they're the biggest population that's always victimized, correct? But there are cases where we take boys. In WOW, the oldest we've taken, or rather the youngest we've taken, was an 11-year-old boy that was sodomized by a 50-year-old man. So you see, for his case, we have to take him in. Reason why we don't put boys and girls together, conflict of interest. Girls and women are already traumatized. You know, your victim is a man or is a boy. So if we put men in the same house room with you, your trauma will start all over again. That's number one. Exactly. So we're looking out for them. Yeah, because we work with the entire approach of do no harm. That's the number one principle we have to look into. So yeah, because of conflict of interest, we don't allow boys in our safe houses. Number two, we're human beings. We have adolescent girls. Some of like, yeah, my boyfriend this, my boyfriend that. We've had cases in WOW where girls like, you know what, I'm fed up. I want to go see my boyfriend. I miss my boyfriend. So imagine if we mix them in the same place, it will be quite chaotic, and they won't get that holistic support that they're supposed to get at the end of the day.
Okay, I think that's beautiful. And for those who sometimes might look for places, because it has always been our biggest issue, they'll find somebody in a situation that they have no one to talk to, like no one even to advise them, leave alone their safety, like their mental health. It's really a problem. But then I would also like to know from you, because some of these victims, like you've said, you're using certain criteria to get them in. Then, like, to identify, because you cannot basically base a narrative. Some people can fake information because they just want to come around.
Sure.
They can fake information. So what criteria do you use to really identify real victims?
Like, do you look for do the victims come to you, or do you look for them? And how do they know about the safe houses? Is it like for Juba it's still new, but then for places like WOW and Torit, you've mentioned Torit is not as functional, but for WOW, was it public knowledge about the house? How do the victims get to know about these houses?
So for WOW, what happened when we launched it? The first thing we did, we had a stakeholder meeting with the state ministry. Director General Mama Ann, she's very close with us. She makes sure things run smoothly. So that was the first thing we did, work with the ministry and our partner being UNFPA. And then afterwards, we went to the radio to let everyone know, because advocacy is number one. If you want to pass out your messages, radios, advocacy, go 1,000 miles. So we did that. And then we also decided to infiltrate schools, where you go to girls, there are clubs, school clubs, you teach them 1 hour, we will talk about such things, GBV, early marriages, forced marriages, and all that. And just in case you need help, there's this resource that is available for you. So that's how people got to know about a safe house in WOW. Apart from that, we work with a network or a cluster, GBV cluster itself. We have the national cluster and the state level. So at the state level, they know Nile Hope is operating the safe house in WOW. If you have any cases and you think they're really important, we'll refer so-and-so to Nile Hope Safe House in WOW. That's how we worked. Apart from that, also we work closely with the police as well.
Okay.
So there's the lady that's in charge, or rather the person who's in charge of the special protection unit is also a lady, and she's very progressive in WOW. Yeah. So during community meetings, dialogues, we also disseminate the information. Celebration of international days, we do the same thing. We keep on advocating and campaigning for GBV awareness.
Oh, okay. And how long is there a specific time that the women or girls or boys,
Or
as you mentioned,
victims.
are allowed to stay in the safe houses?
Yeah. So
And also, what happens to them? What what um what procedures? I don't know the right term. Yeah, exit
strategy.
strategies. Like,
Yeah.
what strategies do you have in place for when they leave the houses?
So unfortunately, because the safe house that we are operating, we rent them, and the
Okay.
spaces differ. For instance, the safe house in Wow, it's a 3-bedroom house, but quite massive. So we were able to put bed-ins and we divide. The same with Juba, it's six or 5 bedrooms with double deckers inside. So in a month, each house that can hold up to 8 to 10 survivors.
Okay.
Now the saddest part is, according to the guidelines, the minimum stay a survivor should be there is 48 hours. If you push it, 72 hours. Maximum length of stay is 3 months. However, cases are different.
Yeah.
If someone is brought to you from, like, for instance, we had a lady who was brought to us from Rumbek. We had to locate her family. That took us more than 3 months to locate her family. Yeah, that's an exception. She can extend her stay. Then the biggest challenge is when you have legal cases. For instance, in WOW, there's backlog of cases because we only have like 2 lawyers who look at GBV cases. Yeah, so there's backlog of cases. So you find people staying more than 3 months, and we allow them until everything is finalized. We don't kick them like, oh, time's up, you have to go. We don't do that. We take it slow and easy and make sure they're actually comfortable. Yeah. So when it reaches the exit strategy, we work together with social workers from the State Ministry of Gender so that they're aware, after counseling, giving these people psychosocial support, and we let them know, okay, now they are ready to be reintegrated with their family. Ministry has to be involved.
Yeah.
It's like the handover process. They have to be involved for the security of our own staff and also for the survivor as well. That's our exit strategy most of the time. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds good. And sometimes also, because you mentioned earlier things to do with arranged marriages or forced marriages, some of these girls could get to the safe houses. But then what are the implications for maybe their parents? Do they sometimes follow them up to the safe house? If yes, how do you handle that?
Yeah, we've had cases for wow. We've had cases where the families of the survivors would want to follow. Like if it's a young girl, like 15 years, your mom like, no, where you going to sleep somewhere else
Yeah.
and you have a house over here. So they'll want to follow like, where is it? I need to know if she's safe, if she's eating right, who's doing this, are there men there? So like I said, we have to work closely with the literally police for our own security and for the security of the
Yeah.
survivors. So when we have that incident, that when it comes up, immediately we call the police arrive on spot immediately, and that also we tell the ministry, because the ministry has to be involved. That's number one. The work we're doing for the ministry is not ours at the end of the day. So when the ministry is involved, calls back the family of the perpetrator and the survivor and be like, oi, stop it. If you do ABCD, we're fining you, we're imprisoning you. And that will scare them off.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned that it's 3 months maximum
Yeah.
stay. Let's say for a woman that is an example of a woman that is maybe running away from the abusive husband. Do you guys have any activities? Is there a way you're empowering them to maybe be able to survive after they leave the safe houses? Like let's assume maybe the case is solved, and for a case of an abusive husband, they are divorced. What do you guys have anything in place to help this woman get back on her feet after she leaves the safe house?
It's so true. Economic empowerment of
Yeah.
our women and girls is like the biggest facilitator of them fully recovering. Because unfortunately, our mothers and our girls depend economically on their partners,
Yeah.
their husband,
Yes.
yada yada. So what we try to do in the safe house, first we'll teach you the life skill training. We have ladies who are good at baking, cooking, hairdressing. We offer that we run it in a quarterly basis. Every quarter is a different skill you learn. Then what we decide to do with our partner this year is we're gonna give them an economy kit. Yeah, economy kit, that's what it's called. Yeah. So, because last year I was fortunate enough to travel with the Undersecretary for the National Ministry of Gender and our donor UNFPA went to Ethiopia. The other team went to South Africa for us to learn about safe houses. In Ethiopia, we learned that they're given $300 for you, to start your business.
start up,
Yeah, to start up. But that's between the government and UNFPA. Over here, unfortunately, it has to be UNFPA and the back donor that is USAID. Yeah. So we sat with UNFPA and they're like, okay, we can make things happen. So this year is going to be different. We're going to try and give them that economic kit. Only to 200 desperate girls or women who deserve it. That's one. Apart from that, Nile Hope itself, we've decided we're going to bring the fight to the private sector as well. Yeah. So if there are any jobs opening, we are going to knock on your doors.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful because a while back, I went to the management of BB Empire and I'm like, please, I have 2 girls here in Juba, completely abandoned by the family. One was emotionally and psychologically abused, cut off from the age of 15. Another one was forced married. And the stepbrother like, don't ever come back. I don't need you. So they had nowhere to go. But they're like, if you help us, we'll fend for ourselves. So I'm like, okay, I know a couple of people and they're hiring. Let me go talk to them. 2 girls were hired by BB Empire. One of them is a waitress at CMB restaurant. The other one is a cleaner at what's it called? Twin Towers. So I'm really grateful. Like if we start like this with the private sector and we continue, we're gonna work for the good of these ladies, basically.
Yeah, I think that's important because it also helps them to be self-reliant. Because if you lack the resource, it's very hard to begin thinking of how you can, be more safe. Because you don't have the money. So that, in a way, will also help them to get back into their mental stage. Is there something you want to add, Charity?
No, not really, because I feel like for South Sudanese women and girls especially, we depend on our male relatives for everything. If it's not our fathers, it's our uncles. If it's not our husband, it's our brothers. So for them to run away from this situation and be cut off, it's very important to be given a recovery and economic kit, as you said, to like start up and be able to provide for yourself and your children in case you're divorced. Yeah. And then what made Nile Hope, because this is a Nile Hope project, but it's funded by UNFPA. How did you guys come to the realization that this is something that is needed in South Sudan?
Honestly,
why did you guys start the project?
Not even what prompted Nile Hope, but what prompted National Ministry of Gender to bring about safe homes. Because anytime you go to the one-stop center or even the police station, survivors have nowhere to go. You're under threat, but you have nowhere to go. So you'll find that there are small organizations or even national organizations, they'll volunteer, will pay for you to stay 2 weeks in a hotel. That's not safe. It's not secure at all. 2 weeks is also not enough for you to finalize everything. Some police will volunteer, like, okay, you can come sleep in my house. Again, that's not safe. What if this police has other intentions?
True.
And then you had churches also volunteering, but then again, the duration was not good. So what prompted our national ministry to come up with this is the staggering statistic. By 2022, 2020, it was reported that 4.8 million girls and women were at risk of facing protection concerns.
Yeah.
So if that's the statistics you're getting, it's obviously serious, it's serious. So obviously these ladies needed somewhere to go. And then with, for instance, the one-stop center in Juba, again, like in every 3 months, you'd receive about 400 cases. 400 cases, maybe from the 400 cases, 100 cases need somewhere to go and stay. But their hands are tied. That's the thing when working with national NGOs, you find that your hands are tied because you're working with your donor budget, there are rules and conditions. There's nothing you can do. You only offer like medical, but there was no accommodation. So since everyone started advocating for that, and we are very lucky to have a very open, understanding national minister, she started knocking on doors as well. That's how WOW Safe House came to be. Yeah.
And then you've been mentioning one-stop centers. What are those? Can you please explain what are one-stop centers?
So one-stop center, in a layman's language, it's basically like a medical complex for victims and survivors of gender-based violence as well. There you get legal aid, counseling, medical checkups, and what else? Also referral. That's how we get people brought to us. So there are social workers in each and every community. There are social workers. So if I am a social worker, I'm from Luri, I have a case of a girl raped or molested, I'll refer them to the one-stop center where she'll be given instant, what's it called? The PrEP. Yeah, I believe
The rape kit?
Yeah, the rape kit. That's the first thing you'll receive. And it's free of charge, yeah? Instead of going to the hospital where you feel ridiculed, stigmatized, the queues and everything. So we decided to open something separate for girls and women. Yeah.
And how many one-stop centers do you have in Juba now?
In Juba, there is one, but in the whole of South Sudan, we have 10 one-stop centers in the 10 states and 3 in the 3 administrative areas.
Oh, okay. Where can one find the one-stop center in Juba?
You just go to Juba Teaching Hospital. You ask for the one-stop center. They'll show you exactly where it is.
So it's at Juba Teaching Hospital.
It's within Juba Teaching. Even the Director General of Juba Teaching is aware of one-stop center and what one-stop center does, which is supposed to be, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
So
this anyone, like, let's say someone is raped, this is the first place that you would recommend they go to.
Yeah, if you're afraid of going to the police because you feel it's a man, one-stop center. Social workers are usually women and older women, not just any type of women. Women who understand our plight.
So you don't need a police report to get into the one-stop center?
You do not. If you're afraid of going to the police station, you can go to the one-stop center. From there, they'll give you the counseling and they'll help you. If you want to report a case, that's where they'll take you to the police. If you don't, again, it's your choice. We're working with only what you're comfortable with. Yeah.
Okay. And then this is not part of the safe house, but it's just something that has come. How often do these rape cases get like when girls decide to report their perpetrators? How often do they succeed in putting them in prison, or just?
Let me speak for the one on WOW, because we've had numerous cases. From June 2020 to this year, no, actually last week, February, we recorded a total of 90 rape cases brought to us. Yeah.
90?
Yeah, 90.
From June to last week?
Yes.
In WOW alone?
Yeah. Okay, not WOW alone, because you have people coming in from other states. What first we had physical assault, then rape, then sexual assault, economic violence. Yeah, I have the data.
So these are all different.
Yeah, we record.
But then rape alone.
90 survivors from rape.
Are these all women and girls?
Yes, and boys that have been molested.
Boys
as well.
too.
Yeah. So we do for WOW. We have a very good, strong legal team in place. These ladies, kudos to them. They go above and beyond for the victims. So all the cases we've had whereby the survivors, they decide they want to pursue the legal route. Yeah, because again, we don't force them. The others, you'll tell them in the middle or halfway, they're like, yeah, I want to settle this outside the court. So the ones we manage a total of 50. Yeah, we all got
of
cases.
The 90.
Yes, we all got sentencing. The 11-year-old that was molested, the boy, his perpetrator or rapist was sentenced to 14 years, and he was fined 700,000 SSV. Yeah. So all our rape cases that survivors and victims decide to go ahead, they've succeeded. Here in Juba, we've not had a case of rape yet so far. Yeah.
Oh, like no one has reported.
No, and all the survivors we have in Juba so far, it's different, either forced marriage, sexual assault, or physical assault, or emotional abuse. No rape yet.
Oh,
okay. So there's one in WOW functional, one in Juba just
the one-stop centers, or
the
safe houses.
The safe houses. Yeah, the safe houses. You mentioned Juba, WOW, and Torit.
Yeah,
but Torit is not fully functional.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe in the case of people who cannot access, like they are not within Juba, for those who will want to seek it from Juba, and I know also WOW is a very big place. And then how do you get to to get these victims who don't have access, maybe phones, because we also have problem with communication,
Yeah.
maybe language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens is, like for WOW, we work together as a network. Let's say when the UNFPA consortium, so obviously we're like 13 members. We all know we are working in this place. Nile Hope has the safe house in WOW.
Okay.
So if you're in Ton, you can refer your case to us. You have to let the state ministry from Northern Bargazel, yeah, or is it Warap? Warap State.
I'm not
Warap
sure. I'm not sure.
He or she has to notify the other guy. Yeah. So we work together. There's that interlinkage as partners, collaboration as well. That's how we pick up survivors. And then the thing is, when I say we have a safe house in WOW, it doesn't mean that we only get survivors from WOW. Yeah, I'm saying WOW because that's like the main center. We have survivors coming in from Raja. Mind you, Raja is hard. It's called Raja, right? I mean, it's far, Raja, because there are 3 counties in Western Bargazel. So we have people coming from Raja. We have people coming from Ju River. Apart from that, we have people coming from the other states, Northern Bargazel, Warap, Lake State, Yambi. We even had 2 cases of ladies coming from Khartoum. They were with us in WOW. Yeah, in WOW. So if you call us and we're not able to pick you up, like let's say you're from Pibor and you want to come to Juba, we'll look for a protection or GBV partner on ground to help us transport you here. Like UNICEF, they transport minors. Yeah. Like right now, we're working on a case for a young lady for her to be transported back to her home. And they're really helping. So yeah, we work as a network.
Okay, so let's just for the people who maybe have just joined us now, or to those that have not fully understood, let's do it like an exercise. Let's say I'm a survivor, like I've been molested, or let's say I'm married and then my husband has been abusing me. What steps do I have to go through to finally end up at the safe house?
So you have 2 options.
Yeah.
One, you either go to the special protection units within the police stations. Yeah, they're ready. They'll help you. If you don't feel comfortable with them, you go to the one-stop center here in Juba. If you don't, you have social workers within the communities. Even the church will help.
Sure.
We know, it's like we know each other. We have our own small community of frontline workers, basically. So if you are in a situation whereby there was intimate partner violence, go to the police. That's for me first. Go to the police. Or if you're afraid, one-stop center. If not, your women association. We need to take advantage of the women associations we have. These small groups we have of women, take advantage of it. There's someone out of the 10 ladies in that group that's very progressive, has the information and knows what to do, and they'll guide you. But understand, again, stigma is really big. We hardly report.
True.
We hardly report.
Yeah, that's why for the case of when you say Juba, you've not had any reports, it's like that's very concerning, because you can't, it's not like it's something that we want to happen, but we can't say that rape is not happening. Like there are no rape cases or sexual assault cases in Juba. They exist, but it's just people do not report, because most times when they do, there's nothing that is done about it. Because most times, as you mentioned, there are some girls that will start and then halfway decide that they want to go the traditional way, or they don't even start at all. Sadly, this is how most rape cases end. It's like, oh, let's handle this the family way, or the girls even get shut down before they even talk about it to people outside the family. Yeah. I'm just going to read out a comment that because I'm going to read out a comment that is on Facebook. Someone said it's very amazing to have such people in our society that work for the betterment of South Sudan. God bless you. Nile Hope.
Thank you.
And Sarah.
Thank you. God bless you too. Thank you. I receive it.
So do you?
Yeah, Sarah mentioned something that it's basically like the priority is young girls. I mean, girls and women.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure because it's gender-based violence. There are also boys who undergo, and also there are men.
Yeah.
But then maybe sometimes do you have issues where there is a lot of complaint from the opposite sex, like the men and boys? Do they have complaints like they're being neglected, or how easily do they understand the criteria you're using of prioritizing only girls and women?
I think it stems down to people not understanding fully what GBV is. Like, luckily, the three of us understand the concept of GBV, the
Yes.
causes, the
Yeah.
repercussions we do. But there are people outside there that do not understand at all. So if someone is raped, like marital rape, it's normal, but to us we understand no, it's not.
It's
So
not.
there's still that issue we're working on, trying to make people understand what GBV is. That's number one. And number two, with men and boys, yes, it happens in our communities.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny it. Let's call a spade a spade. It
Yeah.
happens. However, the cases that come to us 24/7 is from girls and women. Boys and men do not want to report because we live in a very deeply rooted patriarchal society. So how is you as a man go report that your wife beat you up?
Or your wife raped you.
Exactly. How do you even begin? So there's that stigma. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather die in silence than to open up, which is really unfortunate.
Very.
That's why we're going to school as well and trying to let them know, yeah, it happens to boys and it happens to you. Feel confident enough to come to me,
Yeah.
and then we'll know how to go through it. The
Yeah.
whole process will be with you from the beginning to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, because I ask this because I also know there is this concept of masculinity. I am a man.
Toxic
I cannot-
masculinity.
Yeah, it's toxic. I am a man.
Very
I
toxic.
I cannot expose, my weaknesses. It's like you're not a man enough to
Yeah.
say certain things. But then the thing is, we are all hurt. And a normal human being need to respond to situations. But then it's that concept of toxic masculinity you don't want to expose to say certain things. And I think that's how you're not also getting a lot of issues
Help.
from men
Or reports.
or reports from boys.
Honestly, please don't die in silence thinking you're being macho or whatever it is, because mentally you're dying. Find someone to speak to instead of running to alcohol and drugs. Find your brother, your friend that you trust. Speak up. There are channels and ways for you to be helped. Don't die in silence trying to prove that
Yeah.
You're a
You're
real
just
man.
no,
A real man.
no, a real man speaks up. And when we have like for instance, in our consortium, one of our consortium, we work together with Men for Women. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard
We
of Men
hosted
for Women.
them.
Is
Yeah.
Gordon
Exactly.
Data?
Yes,
Yes.
that's a male champion. I admire him. He speaks up. He doesn't shy about anything and everything from menstrual health to yada yada.
Is it the one that is nicknamed Condomize?
No, that's different.
Oh,
That's
it's a
dif-
different. I
that's
thought it
a-
was Gordon.
That's no Gordon runs Men for Women. He's the director, and then Condomize is IHO, I think.
Oh, it's a different.
It's a different
okay,
organization,
okay.
but still they rally around the whole male, educating male, like
Yeah.
Men for Women and all that. They do that. So yeah, you can speak to those people. They'll really help you. They have the tools to help you, and they
Yeah.
don't judge. Imagine a fellow man not judging you. How cool is that?
That's good.
Anyway, rep is for example, in my language, there's no word for rep. Because I remember there's a time when I was working in Pibor, and we were teaching. We had a GBV training, and we had to speak about rep, and there was no word for
To
it.
describe it.
Yeah, there was no word to describe
Right.
rep. There was honestly no word to describe
But it
rep.
happens.
And we're training old men and women, and they didn't have the word
Yes.
to describe rep because to them it does not exist. Especially marital rape, it's non-existent to them, because to them, some of them were even angry because they kept saying, I paid for this, I paid my cows. What does she mean she doesn't want to sleep with me? It doesn't make sense. It's her duty as my
Duty.
wife. Like, it doesn't make sense for her not to sleep with me. So rape is such a new
Complex.
yeah, it's too complicated because there are so many things. Like, if you start talking about rape right now, I don't think we'll end this show, because there are so many comments that especially men, even women, make, and it's like, that is rape. You're literally assaulted. And for some, especially for men, some of them don't even know that they were molested. If you talk to, like, if you've spoken to a lot of men, you realize that most of them were assaulted or
Yeah.
sexually molested or raped. by older women most times.
your
So yeah, and then they don't realize that they were raped until they're older, and they speak about it and tell them, oh, I have a friend that was telling us, and we told him that is rape, and he says no, it wasn't. And we asked him how old he was, and he said he was 14, and the lady was 20 something. And what he said is he didn't like it, but then now he's older, and we're telling him it's rape, and he says no. And then I think he went and thought about it, comes back, and he says, oh guys, I thought about it, and turns out I was assaulted when I was younger. So it's really sad, and I feel like we should have more conversations on GBV in general. That's rape included. We should talk about more about consent, because that's one thing we do not understand.
Yeah.
Especially men don't understand what consent is.
Oh God.
So
We are not pointing fingers.
yeah, we're not pointing fingers, or we're not mentioning anyone, but men. Anyway, so Jackie, do you have
And I think also because sometimes it looks like it's a shame, and sometimes also it has to do
Yeah.
with our bodies. No,
Mm.
if it comes to couples,
Mm.
literally, men think they own
Yeah.
their women's
Your money.
bodies
because of dowry?
Yeah, because of dowry.
But that's a topic for another day.
It's a topic for another day. Yeah. So I think we are really blessed to have Sarah here,
Yes.
a young person, open-minded, and it's
Working hard for the women and the boys and
Yeah. So
survivors of
yeah.
GBV.
So Sarah, there are a lot of people listening to us. What advice can you give differently, like the young girls who are victims of this and they cannot speak up for themselves, and also their parents who are perpetrators? Okay, what advice can you give this?
I feel like before Sarah answers,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people that are, like, let's say parents that are abusing their children, they don't realize that it's actually abuse. Most of them do
Yeah.
not. Even for cases like of marital rape, they don't realize that this is rape. They don't realize that, oh, this is a rape. And like people who beat their wives, especially in our South Sudanese culture, to them it's culture. It's something that is normal. So they won't understand that what they're doing is wrong and is hurting someone. Or of course they know that they're hurting, but then to them it's like, oh, this is a punishment, or I'm trying to correct them or discipline them. So yeah, with that, what advice do you have for women, girls, or even boys and men that are going through, they're experiencing GBV?
You know, you're actually right. When we're talking about people who understand what rape is, even within our own, what's it called, legal statutes, rape is not clearly defined. So what we try to do in the field level, instead of coming with jargon of words, we use pictures and videos.
Okay.
And then we get someone to translate it. If it's a video, a voice recording, we get someone, like let's say we're in Akobo, it has to be someone understandable to help
to
translate some things. And the pictures they see, the videos they see, it will help them click like, oh, so it's that part. Yeah. So my advice to anyone who's going through any sort of GBV, honestly, number one, don't die in silence. Yes, South Sudan as a whole, we don't have psychiatrists, unfortunately, but don't die in silence. You have people over here, advanced youth, they're willing to talk to you.
Gender talk. Mama Rasaket.
Not just
You really have champions within our community. Always look for someone who's very progressive. For instance, for me, apart from my close group of friends, my dad is very progressive. My brothers and I will sit down and talk about mental health. We're like, we are depressed. At first, we'll be like, why will you bring a Kawaja mentality over here? And then slowly by slowly, we help you understand what it is. Right now, he's the biggest advocate for mental health, girl rights, and all that. So yeah, find anyone who's progressive. I kid you not, we have progressive people. Our artists, our so-called celebrities, even you guys, you need to speak up. Yeah, you need to own the space, because young people are literally looking up to you. So the songs that you continue composing, throw in a few words over here trying to define the whole context, and someone will pick it up. It does. Songs go a long way in pushing the agenda. Yeah, that's one. So my final or parting word is, look for someone. There's someone in your community who really cares and listen. Yeah. You can even talk to a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have that trust in your family group, a stranger will help you. You'll feel more at ease with a stranger. So yeah.
Okay.
Is there something you want to add, Charity?
Something I like to add. No, I feel like for mental health, I've been seeing a lot of conversations on mental health, especially on our social media platforms, Twitter. There's more and more people coming out and speaking about who like I was depressed, and they didn't even realize, because most times when you're depressed or have anxiety or all these other mental health disorders, I don't know if I should call them disorders, you won't even realize until you're educated about it. That's when you realize, oh, this is what I was going through during that time. And as South Sudanese, I feel like we go through a lot, and at some point we need someone to speak to. There's spaces. If you are on Twitter, you can check out Mental Health with Nibol. She has a lot of information about on mental health, and she'll definitely help you. And as Sarah said, do not die in silence. Your case matters. So even though you're a boy, do not live up to the expectations that society has for you. Like there shouldn't be standards on this is how you should act, you should feel, or you should react or live in order to prove that you're a man. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're in need of a safe house, you can reach out to Nile Hope. I believe you guys are on social media, sorry. You can also reach out to us, Gender Talk, and
We coordinate.
we shall coordinate.
We are gonna put some
And also you can reach out to Juba Teaching Hospital for the one-stop center. And yeah, I think that's it for me. But just do not die in silence.
Actually, just to add on the whole topic of mental health, I think in the next 2-3 weeks, there's a new project we're starting with the University of Boston. We're looking at youth, and this is only for men and boys, aged 15 to 25, that have gone through trauma because of the conflict, or you are recruited in the war. So it's gonna start soon in Juba, and I think we'll talk more about it next time when it starts.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a whole psychiatrist from America and Sierra Leone. They're gonna come in the country and help, educate people and look for youth peers, youth mentors to educate, especially the men in that age group, so that the information trickles down to everyone. Yeah.
Okay, just let us know when the project kickstarts, and we'll definitely have you here, because mental health is very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
Like this is it's very important. Like protect your mental health
and how you relate with people.
Because it helps, because if you're mentally not okay, then it also affects how you relate to people. Yeah, it affects your social life so much you won't even realize, trust me. So find someone to talk to. Do not die in silence again.
I like that. It sounds good. What Sarah is saying really sound good, because sometimes also in our South Sudanese community, I'm not ashamed to say this, it's like many of the things that we talk about, if it comes to GBV, if it comes to maybe the rights of women and the right of men in some extent, it seems like it's something that's Eurocentric. It's not South Sudanese.
Yes,
it's not our culture. You are adapting people foreign culture. Like they use all sorts of words. But then we can, if we are to have debates around this, because there are also a lot of Eurocentric things that we have adapted. Like, and then why not sense of equality, safety for a human person regardless of their gender? Okay, it's like now it's an obligation for women to do certain things, but also we refuse. It's not necessarily because culture is not God created.
Yeah, it's not.
It's societal construction, but then it's the same society that can also correct. So we are not selling our identities. We are not barring out our cultures. We love our cultures. There are important things that you really can get from our cultures. But let's create
leave the harmful practices.
It's so funny because there's that tweet I saw a while back. Someone tweeted, imagine traditions is just peer pressure from dead people. I'm like,
I saw a thing. That was, but it's true, because we're literally saying tradition, but who created this? Who put these traditions in place? It's dead people, our ancestors. Anyway, because when someone says I'm depressed, I'll be like, oh, don't bring that kawaja. Kawaja mentality to us, like you're soft, you're a black person, you're African, you're South Sudanese, you shouldn't be feeling
I
that
love
way.
the soft life.
I
I'm not tough. I'm not resilient. Okay, I am, but I'm tired of being resilient.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
So-
almost coming to the end of our show.
Yeah.
But then you will also have to mention something like what's the way forward. But before you do that, maybe if you have a kind of information that you want to give the public and the government of South Sudan on this move, and maybe if you also have some kind of challenges that you want the people to know, and maybe so far numbers of your achievement, because I know this is really happening, but then the numbers of achievement, that is also very important. Yeah, it can encourage the public.
So yeah, in terms of numbers, since June 2020, again until last week, we've had a total of 339 survivors. 49%, no, 46% being girls, 42 being women, and then the remaining were boys. Yeah. So that's the statistics we have so
Okay.
far. Yeah. My comment is, actually there's nothing much I can say except
Okay.
I'm grateful to the donor community for
Yeah.
pushing this agenda. Actually, UN Women, they're going to construct an entire complex very soon. They're working together
Wow.
with the National Ministry of Gender. We really have a minister that believes in gender equality. She literally knocks on door together with our Excellency Vice President Mama Rebecca Nyandeng. Those two women, they spearhead so much for us South Sudanese women and girls, and for that we say kudos to them. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, I also would like, maybe we can talk a bit of the follow-up system, because sometimes you can get me in the maybe I will run to the safe house, I get all the necessary support that needed, and maybe when I get back home, the story start over again. So do you sometimes follow up with your?
We do 100%. Whichever caseworker or social worker takes you back home after you're reintegrated with your family, she leaves her contacts details there. You call her whenever you feel like. She goes to the necessary stakeholders, be it the police or the NGO that referred you to us, and tell them, oh, so and so is back home, and I'll be checking up on them, which they do. We have like our ladies in WOW, they always go, if transport or times allows it, they always go and check on their survivors, like, how are you doing? Is everything okay? We even tell the survivors, if you feel some type of way, you're allowed to come back.
Okay.
Our doors are still open. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, before we end, can you do you have any other projects that focus on women?
Yes, we do. We have the one-stop center in Akobo. We also have the children protection as well. We also have peace building. Apart from that, we have youth empowerment. We also have what's it called? FSL. FSL is food security and livelihood. We have small groups of women.
Yeah.
We give them their own like economic kit. It's different because this one is cash for work. We give them that. Fishing kits, we give them the goods, the hens, and all that. We also have nutrition. We focus on lactating mothers, whereby we establish for them kitchen gardens so that, you know, you want to be healthy, your child and you to be healthy. We give you the plumpy nuts and everything, and also we give you the kitchen gardens, the tools and the seedlings. We give you, you work together as a group, you sell your products, you eat your product, it's yours to keep.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we also have the health team that also focus on sexual reproductive health, yada yada. So we have multitude of projects, and amazingly, all our projects are cross-cutting in the sense that we focus on gender mainstreaming.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're doing health, there has to be a component of gender in there, one way or another. So that's how our projects work.
Okay.
It's a rich project.
That's
Don't you think so?
Yeah, are you guys hiring? 'Cause
Yeah. So I think with this we come to the end of our show, and it's a very happy new month to all of us. We are blessed with Sarah. Sarah, I'm so proud of you.
and the work you're doing with Nile Hope.
Yeah,
I hope you guys keep up the good fight.
Yep. So have a blessed evening. Drive safe and be safe.